Really, Captain, is that necessary?
Really, madam, is what necessary?
All that ghostly noise. Why have you suddenly decided to play the ghost?
What ghostly noise?
Oh, come on, Captain. All that clanking, clunking, and bumping. I would think that you'd be more imaginative.
Really, madam, I'm afraid this is you who are being imaginative. I haven't been making any ghostly noises. Not a clank or a clunk.
Don't tell me we have two ghosts.
It's the children.
Well, that's coming from the attic. They're supposed to be in bed.
We needed a clock.
But you already have a clock in your room.
But ours is broken. Kinda.
Broken?
Yes. Jonathan fixed it.
Well, why do you need this one?
Because our clock is broken.
I thought you said Jonathan fixed it.
That sock got broken.
It's a beauty, all right. And it was on the attic wall.
No, it was in the wall.
In the wall? Oh, I wonder why.
Let's wind her up and see if she runs. Why do you call it a her? I never heard no one say, let's wind him up.
I never heard anyone say, let's wind him up.
See? He should have said, let's wind it up. Right, Mom?
Whatever. Him, her, it's. The winding key is lost.
We'll find it. Yeah, we'll find the key.
It's a nice ornament, just as it is.
It'd be nice if it were running, though.
Well, do you think that's possible?
Well, we'll find out. I'll have to get Claymore's permission to have it repaired first.
Will you listen to that? And I've got a cake in the oven. I'll never get used to this crazy Maine weather.
Madam,
Oh, when thunder booms, can the captain be far behind?
why do you need that Barnacle's permission? Permission for what?
To have the clock repaired. It's probably a valuable antique, and I wouldn't want...
By the powers, you found it.
You hid it?
Not I, a later Greg. It's one of my favorite clocks. And you intend to have it repaired?
Yes.
And running?
Naturally. Well, what's so funny?
Forgive me, madam. I was just thinking of Claymore's expression when he hears that you found that particular...
Clock? What clock, Mrs. Muir?
It's a large old wall clock. Jonathan found it hidden inside the attic wall, and I didn't want to do anything.
Hidden in the wall, you say?
Yes, isn't that
Pendulum type, Mrs. Muir, like a sawed-off grandfather's clock?
describes it perfectly.
Oh, it mustn't be. It can't. No, it isn't. It's not running, is it, Mrs. Muir?
Well, that's why I called. It's such a fine old antique, I didn't want to do anything until I got your permission.
No, don't start it. No, don't wind it, Mrs. Muir. Don't even touch it until I get there. It's a matter of life or death. It's starting already. Coming!
Here's the last one. None of them fit. There's a whole bunch more out in the tool shed. Hey, yeah, let's go!
It's definitely happening.
I'm coming! Good heavens, you'll break down the door.
Clock, where? Ooh! That's it. Oh, thank goodness it's not running.
All that over a clock? The way you acted, I thought you'd seen a ghost.
Well, for a moment, I thought I had my own.
Well, what happened to your jacket?
Oh, I dressed in a hurry.
I think you could use a cup of coffee. Come on in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Why don't you just sit?
Thank you, Mrs. Muir. Mrs. Muir, under no circumstances ever start that clock. No, I mean never.
Well, if you say so, I certainly won't.
Would you mind telling us why we shouldn't start the clock?
It's nothing that will explode, is it?
Oh, no, I wish it were as simple as that.
Well, would you please tell me before I explode?
Well, the curse goes way back in the family.
The what?
The curse. The curse of the clock. That clock. You see, it was a wedding present to my great-grandfather, Norbert L. Gregg. But he left the bride at the church and kept the clock. Well, the woman scorned put a curse on that clock.
Oh, come on.
Whenever it starts, at midnight of that day, the last Gregg dies.
And you believe that story?
Norbert hid the clock, Mrs. Muir, and threw the winding key into the sea.
That's preposterous.
Well, it could be. But as the last Gregg, I'm not about to test it.
All right. I promise I'll never try to start it.
Promise.
Promise.
These keys aren't any good. Forget it. I bet it's got chimes, too. Danny's has a clock like that. It's got chimes. Hey. Come on, Scruffy.
So you see, all these years I've... Oh, that's fine, Martha. Thank you. I'll take it to the tailor's tomorrow.
What time is it, Mom?
It's 3:45, dear.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Gregg.
Hello, sweet child.
3:45.
So much better already, Mrs. Muir. Thank you, thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad, Claymore.
Oh, it's silly me. Oh, tick-tock, tick-tock.
What happened?
He just keeled over.
Oh, I'll get some water.
Captain. Did you start the clock?
Madam, by what female logic would you imagine that I would be anxious to have this barnacle join me this side of the grave an instant earlier than is absolutely necessary?
Oh.
The lily liver has merely fainted.
Inside or out?
I'm doomed. Do you
No,
hear?
stop it. Stop it, Claymore.
I wish I could stop it, Mrs. Muir, but nothing can stop that clock. Oh, I'm doomed to die at midnight and no governor to reprieve me. Oh, there's no use trying, Mrs. Muir, until the last of the Greggs shuffles off this mortal coil.
Certainly looks stopped to me.
Me too.
No, nothing can... It stopped?
Stop.
Oh!
That should take care of your silly old curse.
Oh, Mrs. Muir, it really has stopped. Like, lovely lady, you've saved my life. I am your slave. Your slightest wish is my command. Everything I have is yours.
Would that include repainting the house?
Just for stopping a crummy old clock?
Shall I start it again, Mrs. Muir?
And now, Martha?
Oh, you wouldn't dare.
Oh.
Oh, Mrs. Muir, you wouldn't happen to have a bit of brandy around the house, would you?
Oh, yes, of course, Claymore.
You are a ministering angel. Why did I mention angel?
It's not going. I told you it was no good. I can fix it. Bet you can't. See, it's running now.
Feel better?
Much thank you, Mrs. Muir.
I guess you'd really feel better if I put the clock back in the attic wall.
No, but don't touch it. Don't even breathe near it, Mrs. Muir. That could start again.
Claymore, you saw me stop it. You can't still believe in that silly old curse.
Oh! I was just leaving.
Sit down, fiddlebrain. I'm here to support your argument.
Oh.
Captain, you're pretending to believe in the curse just to frighten Claymore, and that really isn't fair.
Belay that, madam. Many things we do not truly understand, nevertheless exist.
Oh, goodness, 4 o'clock already. My, how time flies. I knew it! I knew it! Once it started, nothing can stop it, Mrs. Muir. Oh, I have 8 hours to live. 8 measly hours!
Captain, do you believe the clock can't be stopped?
Well, you stopped it, madam. It started again. How would you explain that?
Claymore, if I were you, I'd smash it.
Smash it! Mrs. Muir, this clock is a genuine antique. It's easily worth $3,000, maybe more, with the curse included.
Claymore, what are you talking about? Which is worth more, the clock or your life? Well?
I'm thinking.
Well, you don't have to demolish it. Just break the mainspring.
Just... Well, that might work, Mrs. Muir.
Upon the day this clock is started, upon that midnight hour, the last of Greg is dear departed, and naught can stay this power. Not plot, nor plan, nor treachery by hand of man. I'm afraid you're going to have to forget your little sabotage.
Oh, I'm doomed. Beyond hope. No, nothing can save me now. Do you have any more of that brandy?
Of course, Claymore. And I want you to know I don't believe this. I just don't believe that curses like that exist.
I can just imagine the crowds.
What crowds?
Oh, at my funeral. I was very well liked, Captain. Oh, the whole county will probably turn out. I hope it doesn't rain. Oh. They know, you know. Thank you, Scruffy.
Claymore, would you like to see who will be at your funeral?
You mean you'll use your... You mean, can you?
Take my hand, Claymore.
Now, no tricks.
Do you want to see your blasted funeral, or don't you?
Why, this is Becker's Final Rest Memorial Chapel.
Your funeral.
Isn't it beautiful? Oh, there's Carolyn Muir. She looks so nice in basic black. Oh, and Martha Grant.
And Mr. Becker, the undertaker.
Mr. Becker, why are there 2 coffins?
One for Claymore and one for his money.
Why didn't I think of that?
You will.
Wait a minute. This can't be my funeral. Where is everybody? The crowds of saddened people, the hysterical women throwing themselves on my casket. Let's not forget that I was once the Valentino of Schooner Bay.
Mr. Becker, where are all the people? All of his friends?
Come now, Mrs. Muir. All he had was his money.
What did he mean by that?
Oh, he really was a tightwad.
A tightwad? Me? Careful, yes, but tightwad? Mrs. Muir, tell me honestly, do you think I'm a tightwad?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I do think you have a fondness for...
His first nickel?
Captain.
Oh, I can't believe it. Me, good-hearted Claymore, the last of the big spenders. A tightwad.
Later, dear, not now.
Mind saying that again, Claymore?
I said I want to do something for you. Something generous. Now, Deke, I know that you've admired for a long time that chair that I have that George Washington almost sat in.
Yeah, fine piece, Claymore. Overpriced, but fine.
And Norrie, now I know that you've had your eye for a long time on the John Coney Silver Service.
I'm a mite short of cash right now, Claymore.
No, forget about cash, about prices, about money. These are gifts from me to you. Don't rush things.
Dadgum, it surprised me so. I put the wormholes in the wrong thing.
Well, you almost put wormholes in me.
Claymore, why do you want to give us these things?
Because we're old friends. And because you've both admired these things many times. And because, well, deep down, I am a very generous person. I want the grandest funeral Schooner Bay has ever seen. Mr. Becker, money is no object. Well, how much does a funeral cost?
Well, let's see. For someone that we hold very, very dear.
Very, very dear.
2,900.
That dear.
It's a genuine bronze casket.
Was lovely.
And, of course, it includes all other items, the hearse, the limousine for the family, and opening the grave.
Well, that'll be fun. Wait, just a moment. The limousine for the family, you
Yes.
say? How much without the limousine?
Without?
You see, Mr. Becker, there is no family.
Oh. Well, what about yourself?
I'll be riding in the hearse.
I'm afraid that's rather irregular.
Not if you're dead.
Oh, I see. It's for yourself. Well, such forethought.
Well,
I wish there were more people like you. As I always say, the dead should plan ahead.
in fact, how much without the hearse?
I beg your pardon.
How much without the hearse?
Without the hearse?
Oh, I'll have pallbearers, won't I?
You want them to carry you all the way to the cemetery?
Right. They could carry me on their shoulders. Like in the final scene of Hamlet. Very effective. How much would that be?
No limousine and no hearse. That just leaves the opening of the grave.
Skip it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gray. The law says we've absolutely got to bury you.
Of course, but I have a shovel and a little spare time.
Mr. Gregg, after you've dug your grave and your pallbearers have put you into it, who is going to fill it up?
Well, when the mourners leave, isn't it customary for each to take a handful of dirt and throw it into the grave?
They can each throw several handfuls.
Yes, several, exactly. Now, what does that leave, please?
Just the casket, $750.
Oh, yes, the casket. Oh, I don't suppose you'd rent a casket. I didn't think so.
Okay, kids, upstairs. Almost time for bed. Good night.
Good night. Mom, I never did tell you about what Jonathan did with my skate key. Come on, Candy. We gotta finish our game.
Well, you can tell me about tomorrow.
Good night. Good night.
Night. Oh, Claymore.
Oh, good evening, Mrs. Muir. I hope you don't mind my spending my last few hours here in Gull Cottage. I feel very close to it.
Claymore, you know I don't believe in any of this, but if it makes you happy...
Well, it doesn't make me happy, Blaster. I wouldn't have asked.
How can you be so cruel?
And especially with me right at death's door. And besides, I need someone to witness the big giveaway. Mrs. Muir, I wish these gifts were tax deductible.
There are no taxes where you're going.
Come on, Claymore.
Spook face.
Must I go through all eternity with that?
And Martha?
Yeah?
Claymore would like us to witness this will.
Oh, it's not a will. It's just some bequest to some dear old friends. And I haven't forgotten you, Mrs. Muir. Just as soon as, well, you know what happens, Gull Cottage will be yours.
Oh, Claymore, thank you, but I can't accept that.
Oh, no, right here, please. Just sign it. You wouldn't deny a dying man his last wish, would you? Go ahead. Right at the bottom, Martha.
Claymore, haven't you had any dinner?
Oh, I really couldn't have a last meal, Martha. I have no appetite.
If the curse doesn't get him, one more helping of pie will.
11:45. 15 minutes to live.
Oh, Claymore.
15 minutes, Mrs. Muir, to live a lifetime. No more apple pie. No more late show.
Well, Claymore, I didn't know you had a television set.
I watched the one in the window at the general store. But now no more.
Well, I don't think anything's going to happen. I think you just have to get a hold of
It's easy for you to talk, Mrs. Muir. Oh, I'm really so sorry, Mrs. Muir, but you see, nobody put a curse on you.
Well, this is just ridiculous, and you've got to convince yourself the curse doesn't exist.
If you don't, you could die of fright.
14 minutes to go. Well, I better synchronize my watch with the clock. Oh, Mrs. Muir, the clock, it's running fast. Look, this is it. No, this is it.
Claymore, no,
I can feel it.
no,
I can feel it
Claymore.
coming. I'm sinking. I'm going. Mrs. Muir, help me.
Now,
Goodbye, sweet world. To be plucked so untimely from thy breast.
Oh, Claymore,
no!
stop it.
Girls, this is it.
Sit down. That's right. Just calm down.
He isn't finished yet.
Oh.
The clock hasn't struck 12 o'clock.
Claymore, this simply can't happen. Curses don't.
8, 9, 10, 11.
11?
It didn't strike 12.
It stopped.
It stopped?
Stopped.
For this relief, much thanks.
Stopped.
Mrs. Muir, Martha, it has stopped. Tickety, clock, the clock stopped, the curse doesn't work. I didn't die.
Well, isn't that marvelous?
Marvelous, Mrs. Muir, are you out of your mind? I just signed away a fortune. Where are those papers? Look out, madam. Oh, no, come back. I've got to get them back. I'll plead insanity. I was in a sound mind. I've got witnesses who I can kill myself. Come back.
There's a present for you, madam, to do with as you will.
Not as well as this can fix it.
But that isn't fixing it at all. That's just hiding it.
Well, some clocks are meant to be hidden. That's one of them.
That must be what they mean when they say it's a big waste of time.
Children.
Hey, there's the carpool. Come on.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, love.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Okay, bye.
It's a big waste of time.
Good morning, Captain.
And the best of the day to you, madam. Now, why must this clock be hidden away? The truth now.
Well, it's Claymore's clock, and it's to put his mind at ease.
And you still don't believe in the curse?
Of course not. And I never will.
Never is a very long time, madam. Once you didn't believe in ghosts. Remember?